Hey there, and welcome. This is the Ology Podcast. I'm Scott. That's Tyler, and that's Chris.
Hello.
And we're glad that you're here with us. We wanted to do a very specific episode for an announcement that we wanted to make about rheology and impact, and those two things coming together to partner to help do what we feel like God is asking us to do. So we thought we'd just take maybe 20 minutes here and just announce that and talk a little bit about it. And maybe what we could do is start by going back in time and like paving the road for how we got to where we are here. So that would probably take us all the way back to probably 20, I don't know, 09 or something like that.
How far back do we go?
When were you guys?
Are we going
college?
all the way back?
Well, I knew you guys I knew you guys a little bit from college days, because you guys were, you're the leaders of Impact Campus Ministry now. You actually were students in the ministry.
This is correct.
Back in those days.
Yep.
Which was 08, 7, 9, somewhere in there.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I graduated in 11.
And 11. Okay.
I graduated 2010.
Yeah.
2010. Okay.
Yeah.
So
My roommate was your intern.
Drew?
Yeah.
Shout out Drew
He was
Burdick.
he was your roommate?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Who was your roommate?
That you would know? I've
I
had
don't know.
many
Let me just
roommates.
say. Oh, okay.
So-
You had a lot?
Yeah, tons of roommates.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like
You didn't have one that you stayed with like a couple of years or whatever?
I'm surprised
that
you and I never
would-
lived with each other.
We did not. In spirit, we were always together. Shout out Ethan King.
Okay.
That's a multi-year
Nice.
roommate.
Scott doesn't know.
He made the cut.
Yeah,
We're just talking about
Way to go.
roommates now. Here we go.
You made the cut, Ethan.
This is the podcast. We're just going to talk about roommates.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yes, Ethan King.
Cool. So a 10 and 11.
Yeah.
And then that's about the time that I moved down here to help come on staff at a church down in the south section corridor of Charlotte, North Carolina, a.k.a. sunny Burbank.
Yes.
It is sunny today, so it qualifies. So when I came down and I worked for that church, that lasted until the late fall of 2011, which we talk about more in the Rheology Life episode.
That's right.
But at that point, what did you guys? When did you graduated? You both went your separate ways, correct?
Yes.
And then when did you come back? What brought you back?
To Charlotte?
Yeah.
I was in a band, and at the moment, right before I moved back to Charlotte, we were in Florida
Okay.
for the winter months,
Oh.
traveling around.
To all
And
of the old folks' homes and stuff like that?
essentially, yes. Really, really tiny churches. That's a different conversation,
Okay.
though. I was done with that.
Mental note.
And
New episode coming soon.
Yes.
Tyler's
Yeah,
tour.
I've got tons.
quote,
I've got
sure.
tons and tons and tons of stories.
Oh.
Anyway, I came back to Charlotte to work for a soccer team as their equipment manager, and during that time, I was, couch surfing and living in people's homes, and I was still hanging out around campus. And then eventually, the two guys that started Impact basically said, "Hey, we are going to be changing leadership. One is leaving. One's going to stay on for a couple more years. We want you to come back and really consider being on staff." And I said, "I'll think about it, but I'm not going to do it without Chris." Because when we were students and before I left Charlotte...
But you already knew I was in conversation. It wasn't like you randomly, let me get this random guy, Chris.
No, you obviously were not random.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, while we were students, Chris and
Definitely not random.
Yeah,
That's
Chris
for
and
sure.
Chris and I connected spiritually and as a friend, and I started having conversations that we're having now with students and on this podcast way back when. So it was a no-brainer for me. I was not going to do it without Chris, and Chris was like, "Of course, if you're going to be there, then I'm going to be there too." So, that's what brought me back to
And that was
Charlotte
year
and
what?
into ministry.
2016.
16, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, and so obviously you guys have been doing Impact like full on, like with how you wanted to do it. Like you started kind of like in 19, right? And then the pandemic hit and
2019.
it's like, great. But
Yeah.
like the last couple of years, you really kind of hit the sweet spot of really what you want
Yeah,
to do.
I think we've been doing what we really wanted to do for the past 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm about to
Yeah.
start year 8
Yeah.
of
Wow.
ministry for me. Chris, what year are you about to start?
14.
Wow.
Whoa.
Let's just take a pause,
Yeah.
a moment of silence for Chris, with no sabbatical for Chris.
Some people thought Chris was 16 years old. They're like, "You're
True,
doing
that's
this since
true.
you're 2?" What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like fast forward then to like 2020, I guess, in
Yeah.
the middle of the pandemic. I had been going through my little journey, and so then a mutual friend, Daniel Hodges.
Shout out Daniel Hodges.
Well, how did that whole start? I don't think I remember how that whole conversation started.
It's just he
yeah,
suggested
I
to you.
hung out with Daniel,
Mm-hmm.
and we started talking about some of the stuff that you were writing in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Hey, you should read this book. You remember Scott Johnson?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I do. He wrote a
Uh-huh.
book." And so
He wrote
I
a book?
don't even think I read the book
Yeah.
before I reached out to you
Yeah.
to want to
You
hang
listened
out.
to the podcast though, because you
I
shared
lis-
the podcast
Yeah, I
with
listened
me.
to the podcast. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is what Scott is doing. We're hanging out for sure."
Yeah.
And I think the first time we hung out was like McAllister's.
I
Yeah.
think it was like
Or something?
2022, 2020 as well.
2020
Like
as
during-
well.
during
It was
the-
during
It was
2020.
because
Pandemic,
we ate
like,
outside and
it-
it was freezing cold. I remember that.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was frigid.
Wow. I think it was a sunny day, and we thought, "Hey, this is gonna be nice sitting out here." And
No,
then
it
about
was the
3
opposite.
And I
minutes
think
later,
we
we're
just
like,
weren't allowed to
"Cool."
eat inside.
That's what it was.
That's probably true.
100%.
That's probably true. Yeah. And so then we started having conversations and a lot of head nodding and
It's
like,
it's
yeah,
because we always
yeah.
the people we meet. I'm sure it's the same with you, right? You don't want to reveal all your cards at one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one card at a time. Like, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And then eventually we're like, oh yeah, we're definitely
can-
on the same
yeah.
page. We're saying the same thing.
I can
Neither
show
of us
the
are getting
whole
offended.
hand right here. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we joke about that a lot when we talk about those conversations we have with people, because it's typically like going, "Okay, here
Yeah.
we go."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much do you really want?
Yeah, how much do I go? Which,
But
yes,
I don't think it was
it was
too
not
long
bad.
before we realized like, oh, this is a safe place.
Yeah,
Mhm.
We're all on the same page. Yeah.
yeah,
It happened pretty quickly.
yeah. And most of the conversations I have with people that get referred, I already know that they're in that spot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, we started then very quickly a pretty quick and close relationship of like, hey, let's kind of navigate this kind of stuff together. And
You helped us do a business plan.
I helped you guys with trying to like just organize a little bit, and then talk through like, help
we're actually doing.
help you guys talk through what
Yeah.
what
Well,
you wanted to
because
do.
you were one of the few people that really understood what we did.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't actually
yeah,
understand what we're trying to do.
Very true.
right, yeah,
And
I'm
I think we were like, we can trust him.
Yeah.
Because we will actually accept his advice because
Yeah.
he understands what's happening.
yeah. And mainly because I really liked it.
Yeah, I think we saw
I liked
how,
it.
yeah,
I liked that approach of
Yeah.
of getting a little less, institutional
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, which is great. So let's fast forward then. So we've had a several years to this one point. We had over like a 3-year, close to 3-year deal going on, and then we had kind of been talking in 2023 a little bit like about like what would it look like to maybe join forces somehow, some way, because we're speaking the same thing and we're wanting to make disciples in the same way,
Right.
and primarily we definitely wanted ecclesia to be the foundation, the concept, the actual biblical concept of ecclesia to be the foundation of everything we're doing. How does this integrate? How does it blend? And so we were in June of 2023 at the Collective Cafe in Matthews, North Carolina.
Shout
out. We just get together. I remember this so well. We just get together, and we didn't really have any kind of reason why we were getting together. We were just getting together.
Oh yeah.
And then organically, it started heading in that direction. You got up to go and do something. I don't remember if you went to the bathroom or if you I don't know, or you had to go maybe it was the time your wife needed a car and you had to leave or something like that.
Oh, that's
There
right.
was
You
a
had to
time.
you had to leave. Yeah,
So you had to get,
yeah,
you,
yeah.
had to, you had to
Oh.
go and order food and take it to go or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But you left.
I
for
remember
just
what
a
I
li-
ordered, too.
You
Anyway.
left for just a little bit, and just enough time for Chris and I. All of a sudden, like this thing started boiling over,
Yeah.
and you come back probably to like, what in the crap did I just miss? To the point where we really were like this. We feel like this is kind of where this is naturally, organically going, and instead of trying to make it fit, let's just kind of like see where it goes. And then literally Chris shares with me this video of a self-documentary for the Tampa Underground. And because for me, you know, and I've told you guys this so many times, but for me, like my journey has been like, oh, I'm going to do this because that's what God's leading me to. Okay, cool. I guess, okay, I'll do that. And then that goes to this. Okay, fine. And then that goes to that. Okay. And then I'm starting going, where is this going? And so for me, I was like, is this like a consulting business? Am I going to consult people? Am I going to consult churches? What does this look like? I don't even know what this really, I got this, I get the idea and the feeling. And then when Chris shows me that video, it was like, oh my gosh, someone's doing it. They're actually doing this. And it's maybe a little different than what we probably have in mind, but we don't have to like recreate the wheel. Someone's already done this. And that moment like changed me big time. I've shared that video with so many people. Because again, it's like trying to explain what this is or the idea and not really know concretely knowing yourself what the heck this is supposed to be. So it's at that point that we started really started going, there's something here. I don't know what it is. Let's slowly figure it out. Let's keep getting together. Let's keep talking. And that led to this podcast, obviously the So They Say podcast. And then that led obviously then to us in December, me sitting down with you guys and going, hey, I think we need to just like either, you know, do it or don't do it. And if we do it, then we need to spend 40 days praying about it or more and really see kind of where that goes, what happens from there. So that was December, and probably mid January, we got back together and we talked about some specifics. And then I think Chris was like, hey, let's put a deadline to this, you know, by this date. And I think it was early March. By this date, let's either, we're all in or yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
And so on that date, Chris texted our group text and said, you know, we have partners.
Yep.
So this is so what we're saying here is that rheology, this thing that I kind of organically kind of come up with or whatever, come around, and impact are joining forces to really kind of take what impact has done already and what rheology has done already to the next thing and into the future, and to create to make rheology an actual nonprofit ministry business that will help three things that will help seek out people, you know, reach people who are watching, who've been watching a podcast or reading certain things or whatever, who are stirring, as we say, people who are really, you know, in that same conversation, like how you guys were with Daniel those years back. We're trying to reach those people through the podcast and all the stuff we do on social media. And then the second part is to help try to, through those people, find those who are ready to go the next step. The next step at that point is an intense training of like, what really is ecclesia? What is this partnership? What's God in mind, and how does this affect me? We say this all the time on the podcast and even in the book. You know, it's the search for, understanding God, Jesus, and what this ultimately has to do with me. That's the storyline. So that's the main training we'll do. The second part, and then the third part is to equip people for service to go with God once they realize how this whole thing works, this partnership works, and that God is already working in and around us. And he doesn't need us to initiate it. He initiates, but he is inviting us through the partnership to join him in whatever way. If it's, as we've said before, if it's creating a Bible study at work, or if it's, as involved as like creating a nonprofit organization that helps, inner city kids or whatever it may be. We're just trying to help people connect with that concept of partnership with God, the ecclesia, and allow him to lead them into what he's already doing in the world. So that's pretty much it. That's what we're about. That's what these podcasts are about. That's the ultimate goal, is to reach people with the podcasts and other things that we're going to be doing here locally in the Charlotte area, to create that conversation, especially for those people who are stirring, and to help them navigate via this process into really going with God and what he's already a part of. So, which goes hand in hand with how you guys have been doing, ministry at Impact, at UNCC. It's exactly the same concept. So, so we just wanted to announce that and let you guys know that this partnership is a real deal. And, this is where we're going. If that is something that really like piques your interest, we all three would definitely say we need to talk.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
We need to talk. I don't care where you are. If you're in the state of North Carolina, cool. If you're in the Charlotte area, cool. If you're in South Dakota, fine.
Yeah.
If you're in the Philippines, even cooler. Whatever the case should be, if this is something that is stirring inside of you and something that maybe you've been looking for, haven't really been able to put your finger on, how do I, where do I go from here? We'd love to talk with you. You can reach us on our website, realitylife.com. You can reach us on our Instagram account as well, and reach out to us. We'd love to talk with you. That's it for us.
That's it.
See you all later.
Bye.